Good morning, students. Welcome to session number 3 of the chapter A Sunny Morning, written by Quintero Brothers. In the previous sessions, we have been introduced to the characters Don Gonzalo and Donna Laura, both in their 70s. They meet at a park in Madrid, and their meeting did not begin with a happy note. They had quarrels over small petty issues. Donna Laura was angry at Don Gonzalo because he scared away the birds that had been feeding on her breadcrumbs. Moreover, he refused to sit near her, sharing a bench with her. And she felt that he was so cranky and fussy, and she wondered why should people become fussy and cranky when they reach a certain age. And at times she forgot that she also was cross with him for silly reasons. Gonzalo was unable to find a whole bench for himself, and he came back and he had to settle down near the old lady, Donna Laura. He was not quite happy with that, but he did not have any other option. And Laura started taunting him. She teased him when he dusted his shoes with his handkerchief. When he started reading, or when he was preparing to read, she made fun of him, saying that he was using a telescope. So Laura was trying to find fault with each and every action that Gonzalo did. So towards the end of the last session, we had seen Don Gonzalo asking Laura to be quiet, requesting Laura to be quiet as he wanted to read the book. And he took out a snuff box, and as he was taking a pinch of snuff from that, he offered a little to Laura. And this brought about a great change in Laura's attitude towards this old man. When Laura was offered snuff, she took a pinch, and after that she felt that she was greatly relieved. Both of them sneezed 3 times each, after which she directly addressed the audience in an aside and told us, "The snuff has brought peace between us." So from this it is very clear, the quarrels have stopped, or she has decided to put an end to all silly quarrels over petty issues, and she has decided to be friendly with this old man, Gonzalo. So this is where we have stopped in the previous class. She says, "The snuff has made peace between us." It's an aside. Gonzalo doesn't hear this, but the audience, the readers, we hear this. It has brought peace. Now onwards, I'm not going to have a quarrel with him. Now let's read. Let's continue on to the next part. Gonzalo asks her, "You will excuse me if I read aloud?" See, Gonzalo wants to read a little loudly, so he's asking permission. See, earlier when he wanted to share Laura's bench, he did not even ask her, "Shall I sit near you, lady?" He did not ask. But now, since she had a smile for him, he's asking, "See, I would like to read a little louder. Will it be a problem for you?" "Read as loud as you please. You will not disturb me." And see, Laura's reply, so polite. So happy to give him such a reply also. She says, "Read as loud as you please. You are not going to disturb me. I'm so happy to listen to you reading." Earlier, when he was about to read the book, when he was preparing himself for reading by adjusting the spectacles, you remember he had spectacles, he had a reading glass, he was holding a book like this. She had made fun of him. And now she gives all sorts of support to him, asks him to read loudly, and she would enjoy that. Gonzalo reading, "All love is sad, but sad as it is the best thing that we know." That is from Campermore. So now he starts reading, he just reads 2 lines from a poet, Campoamor. Now Campoamor is a Spanish realist. He was a Spanish poet, philosopher, a romantic poet also. From Campoamor's poem, he reads just 2 lines and it's about love. What does he try to say? He says, all love is sad. Love is sad. Though it may bring you disappointment, though love may cause you despair, though love may disturb you, that is the best experience that you can have in your life. This is what he states. So now remember Shelley, the romantic poet in English, who sang, our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts. So both Campoamor and Shelley, both of them are romantic poets. So they tell us very clearly through their poems, love may cause us despair and disappointment. It may cause you sadness. Still, you should experience that. It is one of the best feelings, one of the best experiences that we can have. So these lines from Campoamor have been read by Gonzalo, and see Laura's reaction to his reading. She enjoyed it. She was so happy to listen to those lines. Gonzalo, reading, the daughters of the mothers I once loved, kiss me now as they would a graven image. Those lines, I take it, are in a humorous vein. Vein here means style. So he reads, he continues, and he says, the daughters of the mothers I once loved. So Campoamor says that he was in love with many women. All these women have gone away from him. They got married, they had daughters, and at a later point of time, when their daughters met him, they came and kissed him as if he was a graven image. Graven image means idol. So his once upon a time lovers, those women who loved him earlier, still had high regard for him. They have told their daughters that he was a heroic man. He was a kind of idol. So they still keep their regard for him, their love for him. So Campoamor tells this in a humorous style. This is what Gonzalo says. So he reads out the lines, he gives out his opinion on those lines also. Laura, laughing, I take them so too. Yes, that's what even I feel. It's so humorous. Because how do we expect the once upon a time lovers to give good image of their lovers to their daughters? That's not possible. So it is really humorous. She agrees. See, earlier they had only disagreements. Now they have all agreements. Gonzalo, there are some beautiful poems in this book. Here, 20 years pass. He returns, and after which he moves on to another poem. He says, you just check this book. There are many beautiful poems written by Campoamor. Now I'm going to read out another one. And what's the name of the poem? 20 years pass, he returns. This is the name of the poem that he is going to recite now. Laura, you cannot imagine how it affects me to see you reading with all those glasses. Now, Laura feels sympathy for this old man, Don Gonzalo, who finds it difficult to read the lines using his reading glass and his spectacles. See, earlier she made fun of his eyesight. Now she feels pity towards him, and she says, when you read with those glasses, I feel so sad for you. I think it is causing a great disturbance to you. Gonzalo, can you read without any? Certainly. So Gonzalo is asking, okay, fine, I agree, I have got little trouble while reading like this, but can you read without using spectacles? And Laura says immediately, yes, certainly, I can. At your age, you are jesting. Jesting means joking. So he says, I don't believe you. At your age, you also might have been almost of my age, in 70s. And I think it might be very difficult for you to read. So I think you are just joking with me, saying that you can read without glasses. Pass me the book then. So now Laura is hurt because this man did not believe her. So he said, you give me the book, I'll read and then I'll prove that I can read without glasses. I have got keen eyesight. Takes book, reads aloud. 20 years pass, he returns, and each, beholding the other, exclaims, can it be that this is he? Heavens, is it she? So now she takes the book from Gonzalo, she opens the book, holds it in her hand and reads out. And she is reading about a man and a woman who were once upon a time lovers, but who got separated and they are now meeting after 20 years. So she reads out, 20 years pass and he has come back. And each beholding the other, behold means looking at each other intently. 20 years is a great time which will bring you a lot of changes. So you might have been lovers when you were in your teens, and after 20 years, many changes might have come over you. So looking at the woman whom he is meeting after 20 years, he exclaims, heavens, is it she? Is this woman who was my lover once upon a time? Is this my beloved? He is unable to believe his eyes. He is unable to believe that it is the same woman because he finds her changed a lot. In the same way, she exclaims, can it be that this is he? Is it the same man with whom I was in love once? Can I believe? He has changed a lot. So looking at each other, a man and a woman, they exclaim, they can't believe it. Their meeting has come as a surprise. So after reading this, what does Laura do? Laura returns the book to Gonzalo. She gives the book back. She just wanted to prove that she had keen eyesight. She could read without glasses. Gonzalo, indeed, I envy your wonderful eyesight. Yes, dear lady, I'm really jealous of you. Envy means jealous. I'm jealous of you. You have got wonderful eyesight. I agree with you right now. Laura, aside, I know every word by heart. So now, she does not tell Gonzalo. Instead, she tells the audience through an aside, I know every word by heart. Audience, do you think that I was reading out from the book? No. I know that poem by heart. How much I have loved that poem. So probably Campoamor has been one of her favorite writers or poets. So they have something in common. Now we understand it's the love of poetry, love of Campoamor. Gonzalo, I'm very fond of good verses. Very fond. I even composed some in my youth. So my dear lady, I used to write poems. I was a composer of poems back then. Laura, good ones? Did you write any good poem? I have not read probably yours. So what about the quality of your poems? Did you write any good poem? Gonzalo, of all kinds. So I have written many poems. Some of them were good. I was a great friend of Esperanza, Zorilla, Becker and others. I first met Zorilla in America. And do you know, my dear lady, I have met many great poets. I was a great friend of Esperanza, Zorilla, Becker and others. All these names, Esperanza, Zorilla, Becker, all the three were Spanish realists, Spanish romantic poets and Spanish philosophers of 19th century. So he just wanted to tell her that he was also a great poet and all these great Spanish playwrights and poets. Zorilla was a playwright also. They were his friends. And he also mentioned he met Zorilla in America. Laura, why? Have you been in America? Have you gone to America? That's a great surprise because during those times from Europe, if you have to travel to America, it took a great while and again sailing was very difficult also. So have you visited America? And now Gonzalo, several times. The first time I went, I was only 6 years old. Lady, many times I have visited. I had a great experience in traveling. See, during those times, if you had traveled, it would provide you with a variety of experiences, because you were going to a different country to learn about their new customs, new geographical areas, new plants, flora and fauna. Everything would be different from that of your own place. So he mentioned that he had gone there many times, and the first time when he went, he was only 6 years. Laura, you must have gone with Columbus in one of his caravels. So now she is just teasing him, but on a very, very lighter side, on a lighter note. See, caravels means journey. I think you might have been quite old by now. You might have traveled along with Columbus, I feel. Now, Columbus refers to the navigator Christopher Columbus, who has discovered America. So, she just taunts him by saying that, you must have been as old as Christopher Columbus. This is what he means. You might have traveled along with him in one of his journeys, I believe, Laura says. Gonzalo, laughing, not quite as bad as that. I'm old, I admit, but I did not know Ferdinand and Isabella. So now he says, see, lady, I won't say that I am young. I am old. I admit that, but not as old as them. I am not 300-year-old and all. And I did not know Ferdinand and Isabella. Here, Ferdinand and Isabella, they refer to the sponsors of Christopher Columbus. They were the monarchs of Spain. They sponsored his journey. So he said, I'm not as old as Columbus, and I did not even know his sponsors, the one who sponsored Columbus' journey. They both laugh. I was also a great friend of Campoamor. And then he says, again coming back to the topic of Campoamor poetry, he says, see, Campoamor was one of my great friends. I knew him very well. I met him in Valencia. I am a native of that city. You know where I met him first? In Valencia. Valencia is one of the cities in Spain. He says that I don't belong to Madrid actually. I was born and brought up in Valencia. I am a native of that place. There I met him once. So earlier, both of them, when Don Gonzalo told Donna Laura, or called her senile old lady between his teeth, though she has not heard it properly, she was quite aggressive about the way he was addressing her. And now she teased him, she taunted him about his age, and he was quite happy to admit that he was old. So they have become friends, and now there is the friendly conversation that is going on between them. So he mentions about Valencia. Laura, you are? So when Gonzalo mentioned that he belonged to Valencia, she was quite surprised. Oh, you belong to that place? Gonzalo, I was brought up there, and there I spent my early youth. Have you ever visited that city? So now Gonzalo says, see, I'm a native of Valencia, and I spent my young age there. Have you ever gone there? Have you ever seen? Have you heard about Valencia? Laura, yes, senor. Not far from Valencia, there was a villa that, if still there, should retain memories of me. I spent several seasons there. It was many years ago. So now, Laura is reminded of something of her childhood. So she says, see, almost near Valencia, there is a villa. I don't know whether that villa exists today. But if it is there, it will definitely have my memories. Because many years ago, I spent my time there. I spent several seasons there. I was brought up, I was living in a villa near Valencia. Many years back, I don't know, I cannot count how many years back it was, but I lived there. It was near the sea, hidden away among lemon and orange trees. They called it, let me see, what do they call it? Maricela. So she says, I still remember the location, it was near the sea. And the villa was surrounded by an orchard. Lemon trees were there, orange trees were there. And she tries to recollect the name of that villa. See, it's a memory of 50 years back at least. And finally she gets the name and she exclaims, Maricela, I remember the name of the villa, it is Maricela. Gonzalo, startled, Maricela? So now it's a surprise for Gonzalo when she uttered Maricela. And that's why with a question mark, he says, Maricela? Is that the name of the villa that you mentioned? Because she clearly mentioned that villa holds my memories. Laura, Maricela. Is the name familiar to you? Yes, I'm sure that villa has its name, Maricela. Have you heard about it? Do you know about it? Gonzalo, yes, very familiar. If my memory serves me right. For we forget as we grow old. There lived in that villa the most beautiful woman I have ever seen, and I assure you, I have seen many. So now he says, yes, I still remember. I won't go wrong here. Maricela is quite familiar to me. You know why? If my memory serves me right, for we forget as we grow old. See, now I'm a man of 70. I'm more than 70 right now. So naturally I agree that we may forget a few things as we grow old. But here I am right because I remember that villa for a particular reason. I have met many beautiful women in my life. But the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life lived there in Maricela. So I won't go wrong here. Let me see. What was her name? Laura Lorente. And then he tries to recollect the name of the most beautiful woman who ever lived in Maricela. He gets her first name immediately and finally with great difficulty he pulls out from his memory her name. It is Laura Lorente. Donna Laura, startled, Laura Lorente? Now it's the time for Laura to be surprised about it. You mean Laura Lorente? She repeats her name. Gonzalo, yes. They look at each other intently. So now both of them are looking at each other keenly because somewhere they have a feeling that they know each other. They meet at the park in Madrid for the first time probably, but somewhere they know that they knew because both of them are familiar with Valencia, both of them are familiar with Maricela, and even Laura knows the name Laura Lorente, and they look at each other trying to find out something in each other's eyes. So dear students, it's time for us to stop here. In the next class, we'll continue what happens to the discussion of Laura and Gonzalo. Were they able to trace each other in their past? And let's see how their conversation continues. Thank you.